Hi there, welcome to Thursday and it's time for the news review. Let's switch it up a bit. Today I'm going to be doing this standing on my feet. Anyway, we're about to get into the papers and we'll be checking out what they have to tell us this morning. We'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, and it says 5 billion Ghana cedis paid in bribes to public officials according to a survey the UNODC, and let me get you the details of that, but it makes for very interesting reading because guess what? We pay so much in terms of bribes in this country. And in terms of the institutions that are implicated in this entire development, that is what has left some of us scratching our heads, literally. But let's get into the story. It's on page 16 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Here it is. So it says, nearly 5 billion Ghana cedis was paid in cash as bribes to public officials last year, a new survey that gauges the actual payment or actions that constitute bribes has revealed. Now, the 2021 Maiden Ghana Integrity of Public Services survey, that is the GIPS report, which was launched in Accra yesterday, is the first survey on the actual payment of bribes, a departure from the perception that previous studies surveyed. So you would realize that in previous studies, in fact, we have the Corruption Perception Index, the CPI, among others, and politicians who will find leeway, moving room to tell you that, oh, but this is mere perception. This is factual. So the report indicated that 9 out of 10 bribes were paid in cash. These cash bribes, it revealed, were equivalent to almost 1/3 of the 2021 budget of the Ministry of Education. So these cash bribes put together constitute about 1/3 of the budget for the Ministry of Education. Imagine that in reference to free SHS, and the way we're struggling to feed, students and all of that, and the hurdles we have when it comes to textbooks at the lower level. Think about all these problems and what these sums of money could have done in the educational sector. But all of that has been filtered away through corruption. Let's get some more details. Now, the GIPS is a nationally representative population-based survey that provides internationally comparable measures of corruption. And guess what? The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice commissioned the survey in collaboration with the Ghana Statistical Service with support from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. So 3 bodies in there. We have SHRAJ commissioning it, we have the Ghana Statistical Service supporting, and the UNODC. So the field work involved a survey of 15,000 respondents, quite a large grouping. Usually with these surveys, you would have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. This is very representative. 15,000 respondents, one of the biggest sample sizes in both urban and rural areas of all the regions of the country. The reports covered the scope of bribery, who takes bribes, how bribery works, gender dimensions, nepotism, and vote buying in Ghana. I don't want to give you, you would need the report to get the nitty-gritty, all the fine details of what it evinces, but it is a damning report, especially as you know that Ghana lost some 5 billion Ghana cedis to corruption in 2021. Some other details that probably we would all want to take stock of. It has to do with the fact that 26.7% of adult Ghanaians have paid bribes to a public official. Think about that. That's just about what? 25%, 20% thereabouts of our population. In fact, if it's 26.5%, then it is indeed a quarter, 25% of our population, in terms of the adult population, has paid a bribe to a public official. There is also the bit about persons aged between 25 and 34 being the most likely to pay bribes. And here's maybe another stinger, a twist in the tail. Educated people, those that you would think would know better, are more likely to give bribes. All of these are contained in that new research piece. So let's take some of the reactions of those involved. The Deputy Commissioner of SHRAJ, Richard Akom Kwesen, at the launch of the report yesterday, explained that the GIPS was the first comprehensive nationally representative population survey on corruption with the sole purpose of collecting evidence-based information on forms of corruption affecting the population. So this is very welcome, especially for us as media people, and it also is a great novelty that we're very happy about. There's also the bit about the reaction from the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, who presented highlights of the report indicating that more than a quarter of the adults among those surveyed, like I indicated, that is 26.7%, had paid bribes in the 12 months preceding the survey, mainly in 2021. Now, the frequency with which bribes are paid was another important dimension of public sector corruption, according to the survey. It indicated, hold your breath, it indicated that bribe payers paid an average of 5 bribes in the 12 months prior to the survey, resulting in an average of 0.98 bribes paid per adult in 2021. So really, if the picture is this dire as this report paints, and for me, from what I see and what I know, it is worse than this. But let's stick to these statistics. If this is what we're seeing, then we have a lot of work to do. And some of the institutions that are, pointed to in terms of being on this ignominious league table, it leaves a whole lot to be desired. But this is where we find ourselves as a country, and only time will tell how we're going to deal with these situations, how we're going to emerge from corruption. But those are some details of it. You can grab further details on page 16 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's get some other angles to different conversations. Parliament approves $750 million loan agreement. We all know about what has transpired in Parliament on the back of that syndicated loan and the differences in Parliament. But yesterday, listening to Dr. Kasialato Forson, ranking member on the Finance Committee, among others, mention was made of the fact that, look, if we are in these dire straits, we would have to do something to salvage the economy. But mention was made as well of all these road projects and other things that are being thrown in, including the one in Swami. And whether these are not just avenues to funnel money into certain pockets or out of, the economic space. So we put in a lot of projects that seemingly we're going to do and end up not doing them. Just as we have so many projects that we've put in our budgets time and again that we're going to construct with funding, and there is nothing to show. So that story is on page 16. Let's take a look at it. Parliament approved $750 million loan agreement, and Parliament has approved a $750 million loan agreement to finance capital and growth-related expenditures in the 2022 budget. The facility forms part of government's international capital market program aimed at raising funds to finance critical infrastructure projects in sectors such as roads, energy, railways, and health, as captured in the 2022 budget. Proceeds from the facility will also enable the government to meet its revenue projections in the budget and support government's liability management. Our liabilities are many, our assets not so much, so we have to manage them. The agreement, which is between the government of Ghana and the African Export-Import Bank, that is the Afrexim Bank, is also expected to provide the needed foreign exchange to shore up the reserves of the Bank of Ghana, which have declined from 9 billion to 3 billion. And we all know the statistics from January 2022 and how low it has fallen in just 6 months. Per a report submitted by the chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, who moved the motion for the House to approve the loan yesterday, proceeds from the loan would be applied to finance the Ofankor-Nsawam Road, $200 million. So if you live on that stretch, be looking out for this road. The Ejisu-Konongo Road, and I have many friends who are from Konongo, $75 million. And the completion of the Nsawam-Apedja Road project, which is going to cost some $10 million. We ought to hold our leaders more accountable for such funds because, like I keep saying, in the course of this Fourth Republic, there are certain road projects that we've assigned so many times, time and again, pumping money into the same project, budgeting for it with nothing to show. Either it is not done or there are so many kickbacks and all of that that the project stalls. I know of projects currently, some of them I'm sifting information for, where some of the funds have been diverted into certain things, and now 3 lanes are turning into 2 lanes and all of that. These are things that I've not mentioned anyone's name, but these are all problems with our construction of roads. And a lot of the time when you go to the contractors, they'll tell you so many horrendous stories, kickbacks and all of that. So we would rather line our own pockets than deliver good roads to the people. Anyway, I nearly said something, but I think I should hold my breath there. So looking at it, the others are the Swami interchange, like I mentioned, and local roads projects, $47 million. The completion of the Flower Pot interchange, and there's a lot to look at when it comes to that one. The Flower Pot interchange, Legon Accra, $35 million. Completion of the Sofo line interchange, $35 million. The construction of the Kwabenya Peduasi Road, $10 million, and the completion of the Eastern Corridor at lots 5 and 6, $70 million. The rest, 2 more to go. Enchikrom, Adorso road project, $98 million, and the purchase of rolling stock and spare parts, $30 million. Then the construction of stadia infrastructure for the African Games, $140 million. So quite a number of projects that we've earmarked. Time will tell. And I'm very blunt. You know me, I don't hide my feelings. Time will tell whether we'll execute all of these should we get the requisite funding. And within time, because in project management, they'll tell you that there are so many things to look at for a project. There's quality, there's a time factor, logistics, so many things, whether we're going to be able to meet those definitions. Now, in justification for the loan per the report, the credit facility had become necessary because of the decision by the government not to use the capital market to raise financing until market conditions improved. Additionally, it said the increasing withdrawal of non-resident investors in Ghana's domestic bonds market, with its implications for the level of reserves for the Bank of Ghana and foreign exchange management, generally required the injection of additional foreign currency. As for us, we always need additional foreign currency, just as we're going to the IMF currently. I was at an event yesterday with the likes of Joe Winfall, the likes of Edem Senanu, Professor Bokpin, and others. And it is interesting that we've still not been able to cure ourselves of this malaise. I was mentioning yesterday that politically, a party wants to break the 8, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is fantastic if you want to do that for continuity, if they can. But the problem is, how about thinking about breaking our seeming jinx when it comes to going to the IMF? And some people would go on to say that, oh, look, we are a member of the IMF. So, yeah, I mean, if we go there. Actually, one of the reasons we joined the IMF, the core reason for joining the IMF is not to do what we're doing, always going for these bailouts. That is not. Go ask the economists. It is not. Do you see the US going to the IMF? Do you see the UK going to the IMF? Do you see Japan going to the IMF? Mind you, they may go there for intellectual assistance on certain grounds. There are different packages of the IMF. Some are assistance in terms of, economic guidance and others. With ours, we're always going pan in hand, begging for money. Anyway, so that is it with that story. There's also page 17, politics, outcome of the MPP's elections, a paradigm shift to break the 8. And the story there, a lot to read from there. Well, let me announce that we've been joined by Liz Hefenasari, who joins the conversation. Hello, a very good morning to you, Liz. Hello, Liz.
Hello.
Okay.
Good morning.
Right, media consultant Liz Hefenasari joins the conversation. How are you doing this morning?
I'm tired, but I'm fine.
I can tell by looking at you. I am very tired as well. Yesterday was quite a day for me, long day. But here we are doing what we do best, serving the people.
The whole of last week, I was through the Eastern region, Volta region, Oti region.
I see. What have you been up to?
Sensitizing the populace on the Right to Information Act.
Okie doke, okie doke. And how has it gone so far? How is the information sinking down?
Well,
how is it sinking? I mean,
I think that there's still a lot more work to be done, a lot more sensitization to be done. Some people who are interested in the Information Act know that it has been passed. They don't know what it contains. Others have no idea that there is a Right to Information Act at all.
So those are interesting. I want your quick thoughts on this bit, and it's because you missed out when I was sharing my thoughts on it. 5 billion Ghana cedis paid in bribes to public officials. That's according to a survey. So just to give you a wrap, this was commissioned by Shraj, and assisting were the Ghana Statistical Service and the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes. And just to give you a briefing, so this reveals that 9 out of 10 bribes paid in 2021 were paid in cash, that nearly 5 billion Ghana cedis was paid in cash as bribes to public officials last year, that the cash bribes were equivalent to almost 1/3 of the 2021 budget of the Ministry of Education. That's how large it is. And maybe to add to those figures, that 26.7% of adult Ghanaians have paid a bribe to a public official, that persons aged between 25 and 34 are more likely to pay a bribe, and that, interestingly, educated people are more likely to pay bribes. We'll be bringing more details of this when we get to our big stories. But what is your quick thinking on this development, Liz?
It's sad. It's sad. It's very sad. And it's not a good reflection of us as a people at all. But again, you realize that to get things done, and especially those who are in the private sector working with the public sector, they need the things done quickly. Probably have gone for a loan that is accruing interest and things like that. So to get their papers through quickly, and due to a bureaucratic system, it probably would want to speed things up. So would think that giving somebody an inducement would let them attend to their work quickly. But then it is not a good image for us at all. I believe that we need to be honest. We need to be truthful as a people. And if we claim that 70% of us are Christians, then who are the ones that are taking the bribes? Are they the non-Christians? You can't say so. And so we just give ourselves a name tag and do the opposite. And it's a damning situation that we are in. And I think that a lot needs to be done to clean up the system. And I heard you earlier talk about people having paid bribe 5 times. So you can just imagine. Some time ago, I knew that when you went into the ministry with a file or something to get it done, they'll tell you that, oh, if there's no weight on it, then it will fly away. And I'm like, what kind of a people are we? Why are we doing this to ourselves? We won't do it to the foreigners when they come in. When a Ghanaian comes to your table, that's what you do to him. And you expect that we'll get good quality work when you're taking part of the monies that they're going to use for the work in bribes. It won't work that way. It's very bad.
It is indeed quite a terrible situation. But let's get into some other stories here. And sustaining Galamsey fight, Lands Ministry to track excavators, control room ready. Let's get into that story, shall we? All excavators and mining concessions will be tracked electronically as part of major measures to clamp down on illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, has disclosed. Already, he said the Minerals Commission had set up a control room for the effective rollout of the initiative and was working to complete the procurement of the tracking devices in a couple of months. Now, speaking at the Meet the Press series in Accra only yesterday, the minister said the decision to deploy the tracking devices was to enforce the minerals and mining, that is Mineral Operations Tracking of Earth Moving and Mining Equipment Regulations 2020 LI 2404 that empowered the Commission to track all earth-moving machines and equipment used in mining operations. In terms of enforcement, Mr. Jinapor, who is also the Member of Parliament for Damongo, explained that as part of measures to fight Galamsey, the Ministries of Lands and Natural Resources, Transport and National Security had worked together to ensure that the importers of all earth-moving equipment obtained permits before bringing the equipment into the country. He goes on to talk about other aspects of our land resources. The only aspect that leaves my mind boggled is how this could have impacted the excavators that apparently flew away some time back after being confiscated. I'll say it. And all of that. But anyway, let's see whether these excavators can be located. I think we would also add on the back page ECG to audit meters and remove fake ones. The ECG has said that the planned audit of meters of customers is part of an elaborate strategy to eradicate fake meters from the system. So it's undergoing a drive. The auditing will capture customers' data, including their registered phone numbers, Ghana card and passport details, and other means of identification for effective monitoring of power consumption. Your thoughts on these two, and we shall proceed to the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
I think that both are good measures if we want to clean up our system, especially with the excavators. But my question is, if you're tracking excavators now, what about the ones that are in the system already? I believe that you can't place a tracking system on something that is in the system. So what is being done to make sure that all excavators in the country have been identified, and if the tracking devices will be put on them because they're in country already, fine. But we know that we can track those that are coming in, because he has said that you'd have to get a license and things like that. So for those that are coming in, yes. What about those that are in the system already? And it's those that are in the system already that's causing the problem. We probably would need to look at being able to survey all the areas where mining is going on, especially illegal mining, and hunt down all the excavators. Like you said, the 500 that we had that flew away, where did they fly to? Where did they go? Are they back in the areas where they were before? So if we can get them, then we need to get them and track them. And that is the only way we'll be able to clean our waters. With ECG, I thought that they were the only ones who were bringing in our meters. So if they're fake ones, is it that people were bringing in meters and installing it themselves without ECG's knowledge? So ECG should come again. If they were the ones who were giving us the meters, how come we have fake meters instead of having proper meters?
Good questions, very good questions there. And only time will tell. But let's look at other aspects. In fact, let's veer into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Stopping mining on river bodies. Government acquires 5 patrol boats for use by security services to stem that menace. That story is on page 16. So let's see, especially in terms of the Shangfangs and others. The government has procured 5 new patrol boats to be used by the security services as part of measures to stem the menace or stem the tide of mining on river bodies in the country. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Abu-Jinapor, has disclosed. The boats, he said, would be deployed on the rivers Ankobra and Pra in the western region, Brim in the eastern region, and the Black Volta in the Savannah region by the end of August. He says, as a more lasting solution to the pollution of our river bodies, I am happy to announce that the ministry has procured 5 patrol boats which will be used by the security services to patrol and protect our rivers, he said. All right, so the story about corruption is also in the middle spread of the paper. Then we have Major Mahama pointed gun at us. That story is on page 3. And one of the accused in the death of Major Maxwell Mahama, that is William Barr, the assembly member for Dentrabuasi in the Central Region, told the Accra High Court that Major Maxwell Mahama pointed a gun at him and other accused persons. A quick reflection on these matters.
Okay, so the patrol boats, that kind of answers my question, because if you have patrol boats, then you'll be able to see where the excavators are, those that haven't been licensed already, and if they're seized, either they are used they're used in better places, or they're used for better kinds of mining, legal mining instead of illegal mining. But then if you get the excavators, what about those who own the excavators who have polluted our waters? I hope we are able to get them also and let them face the law for illegal mining. Your other story was on Maxwell Mahama.
Yes.
He's not here to defend himself. I don't know what to say to that.
The dead don't speak.
Yes, and I don't know what to say to that. Is that a way of the accused getting away with murder? I don't know, and therefore more thorough investigations need to be done. And I'm sure there's more than that. There were more people around than the accused. So if people are confident enough and will feel safe giving their version or the eyewitness account of what took place, then we probably would be able to have a very good case. But I think that this has lingered too long. Justice delayed seems to be justice denied, and this is taking quite a while.
Let's wrap with these two newspapers, and then we call it a conversation. The Daily Guide newspaper. Parliament approves $750 million for CapEx. We've been talking about that. There's a government to inject $7 million into private forest plantations. And there's also Mills's brother fights Anyidoho over grave. I don't know whether you followed that story, but very interesting. Koko Anyidoho becoming a one-man, aficionado, if you like, for the former president. And that is the late Professor Mills. And being the arrowhead for the Atta Mills Center. Of course, there are two institutes or centers, one by the NDC, one by Koko Anyidoho, and one approved by the party, the other by Koko, not approved by the party. But recently there have been some developments at the Asumdwe Park that Atta Mills' family has felt is not in the right direction because they were not informed. We're told, however, from CODA, the Coastal Development Authority, and others, that it was with their knowledge, but the family says they have no idea, and they feel it is not right, especially considering our cultural context, among other things. But of course, it's some of these things are being done because we are looking at the 10th anniversary of the untimely demise of our former president. So that story is there as well. In the middle spread, maybe some stories that, especially for our young viewers, might excite you. DJ Khaled, or Khaled, like most of us pronounce it, eulogizes a black sheriff. And he's been talking about how, in an Instagram post on Tuesday, which I saw and was, fascinated about, the DJ shared a short video of black sheriff singing Kweku the Traveler. And the DJ is happy about the Ghanaian musician, and he wrote underneath the post saying, "At Black Sheriff, keep going. Music that touches your soul." Interesting one there. Quick reflection on the bit about the Atta Mills, his brother fighting Koko Anyidoho over the grave. And then on page 7 of the Business Finder newspaper, Ghana to retain $2 billion each year through new mining local content policy. That's according to the lands minister. Quick thoughts on these, and it's a wrap.
The entertainment one, I have no idea who you're talking about.
I suspected as much.
I have nothing to say on that one. With the Atta Mills grave, it's a very distressing thing for the family, I believe. I mean, if you have buried a loved one and somebody tampers with the grave, it has all kinds of things that you go through all kinds of emotions.
And this is a former president, not just
Yes.
anybody, a former president.
And so it's very distressing. When I heard it, I was incensed. I was like, how would anybody go and do something like that without informing the family? Now, having informed the family and getting the family's consent are two different things. So if Kodak said that they informed the family, did they have a conversation with the family? Because if there was no conversation with the family, then you just don't go ahead and do what you want to do. You need to get the family's consent. And like they said, I listened to one of the reports where a family member was saying that they needed one member of the family to be present if they were doing something like that. And then the question is that, so if you tampered with the grave, are the remains still in the grave? If the remains are not in the grave, then where are the remains? And I think that we should be circumspect when we are doing things like this. We know that people are born into families. We know how important they are to families. So I don't think you should bypass a family and go and tamper even with the president's grave. Even if we say he's a statesman and he belongs to the country, he still came from a family. And the right things must be done.
The right things must be done. Right.
Which one? 2 billion something.
Oh, yeah, there was that bit, but we don't have enough time. Maybe some other time we shall get into that. It was from the Business Finder, Ghana to retain $2 billion each year through new mining local content policy. That's according to Samuel Abu Jinapo. Of course, a lot of the time, like I always say, it's futuristic. Only time will tell whether we actually shall do that.
And let me just say that we have good policies. It's the implementation that is a problem. I don't know why we can't implement the policies we have and stick by what the policy says.
Well, like I said, time will tell. Thank you so much, Liz, for joining the conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Liz Hayfranasari is a media consultant, and she joined us for the news review. But up next, we serve you sports on the AM show. Do stay.